Hello. Hello, I'm Faith McKinney, and I hope you can hear me, everyone. I am author of Schmingling, The Art of Being Well Connected Through Blatant Self-Promotion, and I'd love to welcome you to this Master Griot Publishing event today. Um, Now, I do have, thank you, Jacqueline Taylor Adams, for inviting me to host. And I want to make sure that I have everyone here. Today, we're talking with Mr. Joel Wilson, who's president and CEO of JCW Consulting, LLC. And he wants to expose more young people, more young African Americans to the field of technology. So I'm also going to discuss my book, which is Schmingling, The Art of Being Well Connected Through Blatant Self-Promotion. And hopefully I can connect with Jacqueline to see how she would love for this to flow. I believe she wanted me to first speak about Schmingling and how to connect. And my book and what I'm all about is really assisting and helping people, especially African Americans, who are introverted and who are wanting to make better connections in the business world as well as personally. Some tips and tricks. Oh, perfect. Wonderful. We have Jacqueline Taylor Adams. Can you hear me? Okay, you're muted, so please unmute yourself.
Yes, I can hear you, Faith. I know you may be getting a little bit of feedback because we have the large screen on in the room. We have several people, so we are just working to work out one thing.
Okay.
Joel, they say his Karen is being shared with something. So if you would tell us a little bit about you, we're all here while we just work to figure it out. And then what we're going to do, he's going to do is we're going to show the slideshow, and you and Joel will be present on screen.
Okay.
All right.
That is wonderful. And I will talk as long as you need me to. But so, yes, with Schmingling, it's available on Amazon. Schmoozing and Mingling is Schmingling, The Art of Being Well Connected Through Blatant Self-Promotion. And so, one of the things that I learned growing up as someone who is very introverted and very shy is that you cannot move forward in life or in business being invisible. And sometimes people think that others will be attracted to them anyway. Well, sometimes it might work, but most of the time it won't. And what's really important is that you make yourself known to others that you want to be known to. One of the things that I really employed and that I thought was a good, helpful tip. Well, first, let me give you some background. I wanted to make sure that my strategies would work for anyone. And so I had to test them out on myself. And so back in early 1990s, I said, how can I make it so that I can be known by anyone, even if I don't have a title, even if I don't have a graduate degree, even if I don't live in the best zip codes and drive the fanciest cars, and I'm not tall, blonde, and blue-eyed? Can someone like me become known? And that was where I started. I wondered, could I be mentioned in magazines or newspapers? And when you see people who are interviewed on the news or interviewed for newspaper or magazine articles, you wonder, how do people find out about them? Why don't they know about me? Why don't they know about other small business owners or organizations that really could use the media and the visibility and really deserve the media and the visibility? And so what I did was I studied, how is it that people can do that? Not only PR, which is very helpful, but very expensive and out of reach for most small businesses. So I studied how do people do that? And one thing I did was to learn how to reach out to journalists, learn how to reach out to freelancers who write for multiple publications. And I found out what it is that they want, how they want their articles to be written about. I one thing that people do, people who may run or lead organizations, they're really quick to go to a journalist and say, hey, I am so and so, and I've done so and so, and I do this, and I do that, and I do that. But really, that's not the format that journalists are gravitating to. What they really want is to know how what you're doing is helping their audience. And so when you can frame your story in that way, that gets their attention. In 2005, I wanted to do my 40th birthday with a bang, or begin it with a bang, by going skydiving. And I thought, wow, it would be really great if I could get this on the news or on camera. So what I did was I researched a local journalist who I thought would be game for something like that. And I said, hey, I see that you're very into fun things, thrill seeking, all of those things. And I said, hey, I'm going skydiving on this date. Would you like to come? And she did. Now, she didn't bring the whole camera crew, but she brought another journalist, and I brought my camera. And so we filmed some footage, and these are things that I could use for my website, and I do that now. Oh, wow. Hi. You're muted, so don't say anything. Okay. All right. But anyway, schmingling and connecting with others doesn't have to be as difficult as it seems. Now that we have digital and email, my book was written in 2013, before a lot of this was going on. Okay, I can hear you.
We're ready, Faith.
All right, wonderful.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Say hi, Joel.
Hi,
Hey,
Joel.
good evening. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Good evening. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Very good to meet you, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get started. We're just trying to share the screen now. Apologize for all the technical difficulties we've run into, but I think we're good to go now. So, go ahead.
No, I was going to say wonderful. I can go ahead and introduce you from the information that I have, and then I'm excited to get into this conversation and learn more about what you're doing and share it with our audience.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So I first want to start this this discussion. This discussion is centered around financing our legacies. And as a framework to talk about financing our legacies, we're going to talk about investment clubs. So 8 reasons to join a Black investment club. And I want to start off with a passage from a book. The book is titled The Color of Money, Black Banks and the Racial Wealth Gap. So, and this is a quote from Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass remarked that the history of civilization shows that no people can well rise to a high degree of mental or even moral excellence without wealth. A people uniformly poor and compelled to struggle for barely a physical existence will be dependent and despised by their neighbors and will finally despise themselves. Is this not the plight of the Black community in 2024, when we were given the prophetic knowledge over 100 years ago? So hopefully we all realize that this is a serious and significant conversation that we need to have.
That's right.
I want to follow up with a second quote, and this is by the good brother Fred Hampton. Theory is cool, but theory without practice ain't shit.
That's right.
How many conversations do we see on social media about I'm going to do this, you should do that, you know, or conversations just about things that have no significance in our community. And so much time is being spent there, and not enough time is spent on things that are real and meaningful to change the plight of our condition. So hopefully through this discussion today, these 8 points I want to bring out, that we're going to be able to at least touch on some of the stuff and change some thinking. And I will forewarn you, we're starting a little late today. I literally have a 4 p.m. Board meeting for the investment club. So I have a fixed time that I have to run out so I can get back to my home office and jump on that Zoom to conduct that meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this. So, you good? All right. So my name is Joel Wilson. I am a lifelong entrepreneur. My whole life, I've never worked for anyone. I've started first company I started, JCW Computer Consulting, still run that to this day. That's an infrastructure firm. I started a nonprofit, TechCore 2. We teach young kids coding, robotics, things like that. And then my latest venture is I founded an investment club back in 2019 with just started out with 5 partners. Now we just hit 35 partners. So we're in the investment club, iBBB Investment Group LLC. That is the legal name of the investment club. We just hit 5 years. January 2024 is our 5th year. We had a celebration during the holiday season, and you can see the image here of about 14 partners came out to that event. Our current portfolio value is a little over 230,000. Folks who are familiar with the stock market, it goes up, it comes down. So the highest we've hit is about 238,000. So we've had some pullback, and we're experiencing that. You can see here, though, some of the stuff we invest in, Ethereum, which is a cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. All of our Bitcoin now is running through a Bitcoin ETF, iBBB. That just took place a couple months ago because they allowed Bitcoin to become an ETF, and that was a great thing for many folks, including our investment club. Move down.
Move it down. Okay, good. Go back. Right there. Just stop hearing.
Okay, so sorry about that. Technical problems. Hopefully that will be minimized. So bottom line, we're a little over 230,000. One of the goals for this year is we'll definitely hit $250,000, and we will continue to dollar cost average into the portfolio we have here, and actually add some new stuff. We actually have a partner who's going to be pitching today. He owns Sweet Treat Hut here in the city of Philadelphia, and he's raising some additional capital. Hopefully, we'll be able to make an investment to help him expand. 8 points. Point number 1, to why should you join a Black investment club? Number 1, proven results. In short, it works. We'll use as a case study Reverend Dr. Leon Sullivan in the 1036 plan. This plan, back in the 1960s, he got, or his parishioners, he was a minister at the time, 50 of his parishioners to invest $10 for 36 months. $10 for 36 months. Not only did 50 agree, 5,000 agreed. So they gave $10 a month for 36 months. And out of that came Zion Nonprofit Charitable Trust. Now it's known as Leon Sullivan Charitable Trust. Progress Plaza, which is still on Broad Street. OIC. And just the list of entities is just Amazing. All this was done through an investment club. Here is a fuller list. Here's a picture of Leon Sullivan in front of Progress Plaza at the time. If you're on your computer, you may have to squinch in, but there's a full list of entities that came out of that initial 1036 plan. Here's some pictures from Progress Plaza, and you can see it was redone recently. The gentleman on the far right, Mr. Whitlock, he's actually the person who spearheaded the redevelopment of the plaza. So a lot of credit should go to him. It's still, existing right now, right near Temple University. Brother Earl Harvey's in the bottom left, far right. He passed on, but Earl Harvey, for at least 30 years in the city, has just done a phenomenal job in helping Black businesses here in the city of Philadelphia. I need to plug in my electricity. Oh, this is in my laptop.
Okay, we're gonna keep talking.
Okay. So again, just a proven track record of what investment clubs can do. The Leon H. Sullivan Human Services Center on Broad Street. This is something else that came out of that initial investment club. Mabel Wellborn, she is the current board chair for the for the Leon H. Sullivan Charitable Trust. And she is just doing a phenomenal job. And she's one of the original staffers with the 1036 plan, stemming back all the way back, back into the 1960s. For those of you who may want more detailed information on the all of the things that came out of the 1036 plan, Miss Deborah Gary, who is a current trustee for the Leon Sullivan Trust, she sponsors a bus tour that will literally, you get on a bus and they will take you around so you can physically see many of the different things that were created. So I would encourage you to look for that. She's on social media. She currently owns a business in Germantown, Tip Tap, a copy business center. She's the owner of that establishment. Number two, an investment club is a practical implementation of Ujamaa. Ujamaa out of Kwanzaa, the Ngozi Saba, cooperative economics. We talk about this every year, but very few people have a practical way of how to do it. So is it just a saying that we say every year, or can we look at a balance sheet somewhere and see a difference from the year before? And so an investment club, it is not a donation. It is an investment. You get your statement. You can clearly see if you have made money. We have several partners in our investment club that at this point, they have what they've invested has appreciated to well over $10,000. We have several who are over $20,000. So this is real money that you can use. Number three, an investment club brings life to Powernomics. Again, Powernomics, phenomenal book, but is it just a book that you read and you put on a shelf and you debate about it? Or do you have a practical way to use the information in there? Powernomics talks all about leveraging. How do you leverage so that the Black community can have a come up? If at the end of the day, you still don't have any money, no finances to buy those properties that you see blighted in your community, or ways that you can invest for people to get businesses, or even practically, do you have money that people can borrow from? Like, how can you actually help people, places, institutions in the Black community? Number four, Professor James Small. Do we realize we are under economic warfare? Do we realize it? I want to play this short video from Professor Small.
When we have these conversations, like, people talk about racism, but they don't talk about economic warfare. You
Because
know,
they don't understand it.
yeah.
They don't understand that someone is deliberately in this place, don't give them loan. That's all redlining was. When people hear redlining, they don't know what to talk about. The government makes maps, right? That bank look at it says, okay, people who live in this zone, the green zone, we can get them loan. People in the blue zone, we can give them certain kind of loan. But the people in the red zone, we don't give them no loan. And that's almost always us. And if you can't get loans to open your business, if you can't get loans to buy the vehicles to attend your business, if you can't get loans to resupply yourself or to expand your business, then you're not going to thrive. You know, that's again, how do I provide food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security? So they force you to be what? A consumer and a labor workforce for their enterprise. And you can't create your own enterprise if you don't have access to capital. And you can't have access to capital unless you have access to loans. Then you can't give access to loans according to their stand, but you can't access to loan, right? So, and then the craziest thing, the way they run the credit rating in America, say if I got terrible credits, right? Because I refuse to work in the system. I will not work in the system. My credit is rock bottom, has been there for 40 years, because I will not let you use that chain around my neck. I will find another way, right? But if you can't get access to the loans, then they say, okay, we'll give you a credit card, but we're going to charge you a higher interest. You're the one who can't pay now,
Already,
but I'm going to charge you the higher interest than somebody who could pay. That is stupid, but that is a debilitating way of keeping you out of the marketplace, keeping you from getting back. So what Dr. Anderson said, let's find our own ways to aggregate. Aggregate simply means to bring our monies together. That's where credit unions come in the Black community. And credit unions could then evolve through amalgamation, again, coming together to become banks. And then the banks, of course, can service that community's interests around the acquisition of land, their ability to pay for the labor they need, and so forth. Land, labor, and to get the resources you need to facilitate the people and the land and the labor force that you're working with. So we need to study, but not so much study. We need, because the average person know exactly what they need. It's just that they can't get it. They know they need the labor. They know they need the opportunities for loans, but how can you get the loan? Right? How do you get that opportunity? And if somebody deliberately realizing that if I let this population of 40 to 50 million, 60 million Black people develop economically, where I can then build relationship to Jamaica and to Trinidad and to Haiti, like they're building to Czechoslovakia, Italy, and Switzerland, they would be in trouble. So it's up to us to recreate ourselves economically. And a lot of people are trying to do it. Let's not put our people down. We spent last year better than $2 trillion because we made better than $2 trillion. There's only 11 nations in the world that had more surplus money than that. Okay. Our problem is ours is not organized. And that's what Dr. Anderson is talking about, aggregating, organizing your money. And it isn't because we're not organized. Our problem is we are over-organized. There's too many Black organizations. We can get rid of 50% of them. Huh?
It's too much. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. If we could resolve 50% of them, bring them together. Take the Soros all operating as little individual group, but that my little pink and my little red and my little blue and da-da-da-da, and I got a little program going in Africa, but I'm digging wells, and I'm over here building a clinic in Africa, and I got a community service to get young kids to school. What if all those sorts came together and expand all those programs? You'd have an explosion.
And the successful collaborations you've had in your life, right?
Mhm.
I take it both parties had to quell their ego to focus on the mission.
Well, that's absolutely true in any kind of cultural developmental process, because that's what culture is. Culture is primarily the people's education system. The key in culture is unity. How do we work together in harmony? Unity and harmony. And that is when you establish, what do we have? What is our content? I mean, what are the things we have that is useful for our development? And then you have to come together and determine, what is our intent? What do we intend for the content? You know? And then you need a guiding tool. That's the thing we call culture. Some call it spirituality. Some call it indigenous religion. Whatever you call it, you've got to understand what its intent is. Is this intent to make sure you can provide food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security for yourself and your family? And can you then bind that collectively with others so you can establish control over land, labor, and resources where you live? So then you can get control of economic, politics, and culture where you live. Those elements, I think it's about 9 or 10 of them. If you can get those elements of economic, politics, and culture, land, labor, and resources, food, clothing, shelter, and safety. Okay? If you could pull those pieces together in some kind of ideological, but the first thing people do is like run to white socialism. It doesn't work for them. Show me a white socialist state where it's working. All right? Let's go back to our own way. Let's begin to look deeply into Africa. Everybody identify themselves with their people except us. You watch a TV show and you see everybody's in kind of like expressing their cultural thing. We express in white culture in some form or another. Unite ourselves around the guaranteeing of food, clothing, shelter, the resources, controlling economic, politics, and culture where we are. Malcolm described this as black nationalism. You don't have to use a label for it. Just do it and then have unity.
Well, I think we had some technical difficulties. I think the computer went down, but I want to make sure that everyone is, we continue this discussion. We were watching the video that Joel Wilson had presented from one of his colleagues, and he had some amazing points. One of the things that he mentioned about why the African American community has not been successful economically is because we are over organized. And not only we're over organized in almost every single way. We have, for many communities, mine included. Oh, there you are. Wonderful. Well, I was just
Hello.
hello. I was just filling in the audience about some of the highlights of Professor James Small's points. So you can go ahead and continue, please.
Okay. Okay. Hit the play.
$1 billion. And some white person tell you where to invest it. And they don't let you invest none of it with black people. Okay. And when you look like you're getting too big for your pants, they do like they do Kanye, try to figure out how to strip you of your billion. Real on real. You know? And they've been doing this for centuries. We can study it over and over. The same group of white people have been destroying us, managing us, ripping us apart, imitating us. And if we dare call their name, they accuse us of being anti this or anti that.
Okay, so hopefully that was enlightening. I know when I saw it the first time, I was like, wow, I can't believe that, again, so much information is readily here. We just don't know about it, or we're not engaged with it. So I'm just trying to move on to the next slide. Number 5. Process gains in group versus individual decision making. Process gains in group. So basically, we will be the most effective and impactful when we create a group and we work in unison. Black people understand this in sports, but we don't really understand this in business, in politics, in world affairs. And we need to change that so that we can have the impact in the business sector, in the community development sector, economic development sector. I'm going to read this one passage that I have highlighted. One important factor that helps groups to outperform individuals on decision-making tasks is the type of interdependence they have. In general, positively interdependent cooperative groups tend to make better decisions than both negatively interdependent competitive groups and individuals, particularly in complex tasks. Now, one of the areas I've seen this firsthand is I've seen it in the investment club. When you had a group of people from different walks of life, different, views on life, when we collectively bought stock, we did far better. And I went and looked at my own individual portfolio. The group was doing better than I was. So I sold some of the stuff I had and then reconstituted it more in alignment with what the group was producing. Our portfolio and everything I'm saying is documented. We've had about a 20% return in our fund. And this is like we've outpaced, because the big ticker is, how do you do against the NASDAQ? We're outpacing them. We're about to receive an award for our 5-year anniversary. And there's an organization called Better Investing, which is sort of like the major association over investment clubs. And they're recognizing us. We're about to get that award. So the group, when we come together as a group, it is just incredible what we can produce. Number 6, this is a good one. Investment clubs are totally legal. They are not Ponzi schemes. They're not, what was the last thing going on during COVID? You give me so much money, and then in so many days, I'm going to give you so, all that. An investment club is none of that. It is legal. The SEC has a page, and I'm showing you the page. They have a page on their website talking about investment clubs. It's totally legal. There's an organization, Better Investing. They support investment clubs. Investment clubs are as common as Little League is in the Black community. Investment clubs are that common in the white community. When you fill out a brokerage form, whether you get one from Fidelity or E-Trade, there's a little checkbox that many of us probably never pay attention to. You know, it asks you, what type of organization are you? Are you an individual? Are you a married couple? Are you a business? It's a checkbox for investment club. They expect investment clubs to open up brokerage accounts. Number 7, Africa. This is significant. This is something we really got to comprehend and get. African American wealth, it is projected to fall to 0 by 2053. This is not something Joel Wilson is saying. This is something that is well documented, and there was a lot of press on this back in 2020. So here's an article from Black Enterprise. That's just one of the many. If you Google search Black wealth to 0, you'll see that the models are predicting Black wealth was going to hit 0. So if this does not make us pause and do some course correction, I don't know what is going to happen. You know, we need to think about this is 1491, and folks is chilling, living their best life in their African nation. And somebody runs up on the beach and says, there are some huge ships approaching. And folks is like, I'm good. I'm not worried about that. I'm about to get married. My kids is doing great. I just caught all these fish. I'm about to win in some competition. Life is good. Don't bother me about some big ship out in the ocean. We are at that moment right now. Are we going to react, or are we going to wait and let what they have planned for us play out? Because we saw what the last plan did to us. Number 8. This is critical. Last step. My sisters and brothers, we have learned. We have learned. This book, The Color of Money, Black Banks and the Racial Wealth Gap, not just that book. There are so many others. What Powernomics has written down. Randall Robinson, his book, The Debt, what he documented. What Carter G. Woodson, Miseducation of the Negro, documented. What Leon Sullivan has done and showed us. I mean, the list goes on and on, the relevant information we have to make good, critical decisions for our betterment. They're right here. We can now answer why did we not get 40 acres and a mule? We see that in Spike Lee's company logo, 40 acres and a mule. Some people are like, well, what was that? Well, that was what was promised to Black folks who fought in the Civil War, but we never got it. But once you understand how this country works, the politics in this country, we did not have the political strength to make it happen. We didn't have the masses of people thought we should be in slavery. So you got to have politicians on your side. You got to have the folks who are voting on your side. You got to have the police departments. The police were the ones chasing us down, lynching us. So we had no critical organization in this country was for us. So we got our ancestors got the best that they could get at that time. Failure of the Freedmen's Bank. Freedmen's Bank, and this is our ancestors right out of the enslavement period. They, in a few years, put what would be in today's money $1.4 billion in the bank in today's money. Our ancestors did that. You're talking about people who couldn't read. They did that. They understood that to move forward in this country, they need to own land. They need to have some wealth. They were trying to build their own communities to safeguard against, the hostility to terrorism. But regrettably, Black folks they were not the leadership and management of the bank. And so the white folks that were, they stole all the money from our ancestors. They stole it. Can you imagine that? Our ancestors came out of the enslavement period. They were given this false promise by the white folks who were leading the country at the time that if you put your money in this bank, you'll be able to buy land. And they did the right thing. And even doing the right thing, they stole all their money. So we learned that lesson. Now, can white folks steal our money from banks now? I'm 54. I'm 54. I would argue if you use one of these major banks, you're not going to get your money's not going to get stolen out the bank. Citizens Bank is not going to get stolen. E-Trade, any of these banks is not going to get stolen. So we don't have the same fear that they had then. Who in here doesn't have a bank account? Everybody has a bank account. So if you can have a bank account individually, and your bank accounts now, you have insurance up to $250,000. So if you can have that individually, why can't you have that collectively? So we don't have the same conditions then. Back then, the police came after us. Now, I know we still got problems with the police now, but some of those problems we could correct. We can correct. But the police just ain't going to roll up here on Green Street in Germantown for just no reason at all. And now we do have Black police commissioners. We have Black lieutenants. We have Black police officers. So we've made a lot of headway. Now we can make a lot more because they looking to hire folks. And we got a lot of young folks who don't have jobs. So if you're a young person, you like standing on the corner, you like having a gun, right? You may even have a young lady with some kids. So the police would allow you to do everything you currently like to do, stand on the corner and carry a gun. And now that woman that you have a child from, now your kid has got great health insurance. Just flipping what you're doing. But failure-free bank, we know why that failed. We don't have that threat right now. Proper business structures. They did our good brother Marcus Garvey in because of his business structure. At that time, he was mailing funds using the postal system, and they said that was illegal. So nowadays, and they indicted him and threw him out the country. So nowadays, LLCs are not limited to the state. So you can have an LLC or corporation, and folks can be an investor or a partner anywhere in the continental United States. Matter of fact, they can be international now. So we don't have those issues. But with that, there's tons of services that you can hire to incorporate, and there's attorneys. You can consult folks with the proper knowledge so that you don't jam yourself up. Self-help funding capacity. One thing that is great about an investment club, it is truly self-help. You don't have to, you don't need anyone else's approval. You don't have to sit and wait and talk about, I'm waiting for them to approve me and then I can do this investment club. No. You could go to any group of folks that you know and you can start an investment club. And it's just, how committed are y'all to putting the money up? Are you going to put money up every week, every month, once a quarter? How much? Are you going to do $10 a month? Follow exactly what Leanne Sullivan did? I know in our investment club, we allow folks to invest between $50 and $200 a month. You can choose just a derivative of $25. So you can do like $75 a month, and you can change. One month I'm not doing good, so I'm putting in 50. Another month I'm doing great, I put in $200. Liquidity. And many times in our history, there's been problems in liquidity of what folks are investing in. So liquidity is, if I put my money in, can I get my money back? So one of the really, really nice things about investment clubs, most investment clubs are surrounded, or they invest in stock or crypto. Both of those have, 24/7 liquidity. You can hit a button, boom, it's sold, get your cash and do what you need to do with it. If you start doing real estate or some other stuff, then the time frame could be longer. So if you have a house, 10 people own it, y'all want to sell it, get the money, well, you got to get an owner to buy that thing, and that may take however long it's going to take for it to be sold. So, but if we're going with a standard investment club, or at least a hybrid in which you have stocks and crypto, liquidity is not an issue. In our investment club, we're a hybrid. So we do stocks, we do crypto, and we don't do real estate directly, but we'll do some loans to partners who are doing flipping and things like that. Folks, you open an investment club, get yourself a good account. We've always had a Black account. Our first accountant was actually Anita T. Connor, CPA. She did our taxes for about 3 years or so. And then now we're using Philly Tax Team that's run by Kamari Ellis. You definitely don't play with this. And you may have someone in the club, if you have someone in the club who is a legit accountant, preferably a CPA, then okay, you can let them do your taxes. But if you don't, hire a professional. Hire a professional. Be creative in your solutions. Folks, one of the things I love about Investment Club, you do not have to do things exactly how someone else does it, exactly how, say, white investment clubs do it. One of the unique things that we do in our investment club, we created a micro loan fund within our investment club. So guess what is the minimum credit score needed for our micro loan fund for our partners? Anyone want to guess? We got a small audience here. Anybody want to guess? Raise it.
700.
700. Okay. Anyone else want to guess?
620.
620. How about 600? Okay. You want to guess?
No.
You're good with that? So we had a 700, 620, and a 600. So in our African creative imagination, we came up with we don't need your credit score. We have our own way of evaluating and saying, hey, you're worth it. We're going to loan you some money. And part of the way we are enslaved in this country is that our whole imagination when it comes to money comes from a foreign force which is trying to keep us in slavery. Not physical, but mental slavery, going back to Carter G. Woodson. We don't have to follow their model. We can come up with our own. You feel me?
As we supposed to.
As we supposed to. Absolutely. So on that, again, I just want to say I'm Joel Wilson. I thank you for your time. Our investment club is actually having a spring celebration. We do this every year. This year, we're opening it up to the public. We're having a day party at one of our partners' establishments, Coffee, Cream, and Dream. It's on Saturday, May 18th. We're going to have great workshops there. We're going to have a short documentary, great discussions, phenomenal people, music. It's a BYOB, so you can bring some libations, but it's a great time to just come and network and socialize. We've got to socialize, and we need to, be on higher vibrations in our interactions. Okay. And this is a great time to do it. So you're all welcome to come on out. And I don't know if we can take any questions from the live stream or the audience here, but if we can do that, that would be great.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure if we can connect with our audience, but I did have some, I took some notes, and it was a really great presentation, so informative. One of the things that I was contemplating was that a lot of times when, I think about how does white America factor in what they need for resources, for business, for life. They have actuaries who know about statistics on everything, like how many years will a Black person live if they live in this zip code as opposed to a different zip code? Are there, is there intel? Is there information that our community can use to not only form more wealth and health, but can we use that intel to create the wealth that and to let other people know, like how much money do we need? How many people do we need to invest in this? Are there hard numbers that we can use to measure what we need to get the resources that we need and to purchase the land that we want to purchase?
So I'm not certain if I have the full question. So I'm going to repeat what I heard, and you can let me
Sure.
know. How many people do we need to sort of solve our problem? Is that sort of the?
Well, so what I'm saying is that we have. I think Professor Smalls mentioned that we as Black people are over organized. And we have factions of people who are in the community and in my community as well, who don't know what other organizations are doing. They don't even know who is doing what. And they're splintered off. I believe the interviewer said that the splintered forces working for the same goal, but there's no organization. It's over organized. There are in the white community, they understand numbers, they understand statistics. Is there a number or statistical way that our people can organize such that we know exactly how much resources we need to accumulate land or to assist our people in certain ways? How can we get organized in a way that we know exactly what's going on and exactly how to fix it?
So I would look to a couple of things that I'm aware of, and I'm not going to say I know everything. I know from an economic standpoint, I think the Urban League puts together, they put something together called the State of Black America. They do it every year, and there you'll get a lot of data that you can extrapolate from to do whatever. I know in Philadelphia, back during the time of Leon Sullivan and Cecil B. Moore, they used to organize the Black ministers. And so they would have and I wasn't there, so I'm going off of what I was told, but they would have a meeting, I think they called it like the 100 ministers, and they would discuss what the important issues were in the Black community. And then all these ministers would go back to their respective churches. And so now they would have the same talking points. And so that's how they got, that might have been, well, then that was the way they were able to protest against like Girard College and Tasty Cake and things like that. And they were successful. That's what I could say there. Now, just in my own imagination, I think the Black community, any of at least $100 million to address our particular situations. Now, you can't get to 100 million like immediately, but you can get to $100 million in 10 to 20 years. And those are models that you can build. Like how many folks, what is the monthly amount that is contributed? What is the type of return that's needed? You can get there. We're just not thinking like that. If right now there were 20 funds across the country, each of them having $100 million, here's some of the stuff you could do with a $100 million fund. Number one, you would produce at least $10 million every year that you could spend. and it doesn't touch your principal. So that's money. So right now, I think the city of Philadelphia was excited that they gave $20 million to primarily Black organizations for violence and all that kind of stuff. And that's great. We want the city to keep doing it, but we should have our own money that we could give out. Something else, and this is interesting because this is something that Trump is sort of doing or trying to do. When you have a fund, when you have an investment portfolio, the large brokerage will give you a loan off of your portfolio. They'll give you 50% of what you have. So if you had $100 million in a brokerage, you could borrow you had 100 million. If you had 100 million, you could borrow $50 million. Mm-hmm. You could do your own development. Mm-hmm. Now you're not asking nobody. Mm-hmm. Right now in Philly, most Black organizations, nonprofits, even profits, we're looking for a Pew Charitable Trust or somebody where we can tap into some money. Mm-hmm. But we don't have these funds that we can tap into for our own sake. And when we look at our legacy organizations, and I'm thinking of House of Umoja, I'm thinking of, Mercy Douglas, and that's a company that my father helped build that. And there's plenty of them. Do they have these type of endowments that produce this money in perpetuity? The answer is no. When we look at University of Penn and we see how do they build these significant edifices every year. There's a crane up on Penn's campus easily the last 30 years. They have never not built something. Well, reportedly, they have like $1 billion endowment. Mm-hmm. It spends off $200 million a year. Mm-hmm. So we have to understand that, a lot of us are familiar with the nonprofit model. If you raise $10 million, you spent it. So then next year, you back to square one. We got to build endowments. Mm-hmm. We got to build these wealth funds where when this money comes in, you keep the principal, you grow the principal, and then you can use the dividends or the interest payments and things like that. That's how we got to restructure our community. And it would be even great, a lot of our money I was at church this morning, so I'll put that out there. But my pastor may come after me after the statement. But at the end of the year, I got a statement I gave, right? The tax write-off. But that's not wealth for me. You follow me? So we need to put our money in stuff so at the end of the year, it represents wealth, it represents growth. So the next year, when I wealth accumulation, then who's going to take care of me when I'm 65? And that's a problem that the Black community has not solved. So I don't know if there's any other questions, maybe one more, and then I'm going to have to bounce.
Yeah, just one.
Go ahead.
What is one thing, no matter where we are on a plane or level, or what's one thing each of us can do? Give us the next step.
Okay. What is the next step? So I'm going to tell you this. Here's a famous question. When is the best time that I should invest? When is the best time? The answer is 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. You missed it. Right. So now the second best time is today. Right. So you go to Fidelity, and I'm not promoting any of them. But these are the biggest brokers. Charles Schwab, Fidelity, E-Trade. They're good, they're credible. And folks, and one thing, one of the ways that I like to analyze how we can make moves. And a lot of times in our community, we'll look at, what was done horribly during Tuskegee experiments. And that was just one of the many horrors this country has visited on our ancestors. But we need to be critical to realize that for the Tuskegee experiment, they clearly did that against our ancestors, and they did not do those tests on themselves. You follow me? So sometimes we'll say, oh, you know, I'm not going to do this because this is similar to Tuskegee experiment. But we fail to realize this thing that we're saying we're not going to do, they're doing it.
It works for them.
Okay? So it's not the same. Now, when you find something that they are promoting and they won't do, then that is the Tuskegee experiment-like thing to stay away from. But when they are all over it, it's not a Tuskegee experiment. Okay? So when we look at Charles Schwab, they all over it. They got billions of dollars in that company. E-Trade, they got billions. Matter of fact, E-Trade was just bought by JP Morgan. Yes. They got billions of dollars. They got their pension funds. They got their business accounts. They got retirement accounts. They got everything in there. So can you and I feel like this is a safe bet? Yes. Their money is up in there. And the one thing about this system, they fight tooth and nail for their money. So they are not going to let nothing happen to their money, and we can have some safety in there. You know, you got your billions, I'm going to put my thousands, or I'm going to put my hundreds of thousands. For some of us, I'm going to put my millions.
Quick question. So what do you do for the person who says, I only got $100 to invest, and the $100 doesn't seem like anything because they don't realize that the 100 is going to go ahead and, you know, make more money. But yeah, just for the person who doesn't think that they have enough to invest, or what is the number to invest?
So there is no number. So whatever you are comfortable with, that's the number. So if you got $100, you can make $100 work for it. And nowadays with technology, you can invest through Cash App. And one of the beautiful things between Cash App and like Fidelity, there's you can buy stock in fractions. So you don't have to buy the whole share. So we were talking about Microsoft.
I got
you don't get a whole Bitcoin.
Correct. Just like Bitcoin. You know, most of us ain't buying a whole Bitcoin right now. You're buying a little fraction. But Microsoft, if you wanted to buy a share of Microsoft right now, it's $411. $411. But if you go through like a Cash App, you can buy a piece. So I can buy $25 worth.
And I'm telling you, what's also great about that is administrative fees. You're not incurring them.
Right.
You are not incurring them, and I incurring them. And some of them as high as 8.5%. Because I tell people to look at your administrative fees. If you're not earning a return over that,
right,
then you're just paying that out.
Right. And a lot of ETFs, exchange traded funds, ETFs, which is a conglomerate of stocks in one fund, they have very low administrative fees, and you can check that out and look at that. And those are great ways. Like one thing about investing out, and I'll leave with this: you do not have to be a super genius to invest. And I think that's part of the way that they scared a lot of Black people away, because they make you feel like you need an MBA, you need a PhD, you got to be a blue blood. You don't need none of that. I mean, honestly, you can invest in the basic. It's called index fund. The letters QQQ. Like if you know nothing else, you could just ride that until you retire, putting your money. Because again, we following white folks, right? Because they got billions up in QQQ. Literally, that fund is worth probably $40 billion. So you want to take your couple thousand, your 100,000, you're gonna put it right with them, and you're gonna ride it out. And over the long term, you're going to be fine. You're going to have a nice return. You're going to be fine. Now, if you want to be more aggressive than that, then learn some more. Come hang out with us at the investment club. Learn different strategies for the folks that's really trying to do it. You get into options trading. Now, I'm not an options trader. As a club, we don't do options trading, but we have individuals that do options. Options is where you can make hundreds and thousands in a day. Like there's a lot of young folks, and I'm proud to see it. They're making investing their job, and they are getting paid. We talk about 6 figures, they talk about 7 figures. That's what they 27 years old making 7 figures from their room. That's real. and it's possible. Now, is you have to learn. Now, if you're willing to do all that, that's great. Can investing be a legit part-time job for you? Yeah, it can. It can. And you'd be surprised. I mean, off of 50 grand, you can get some nice returns. You can get, you can have some funds that are paying you monthly dividends. So your 50 grand is preserved, but every month, and it's growing, and every month you're getting broken off. You can make, definitely, over $500 a month. You get it every month. And so you can start thinking about, hey, we got to start thinking about, hey, instead of me buying that $100,000 car, maybe I buy a $30,000 or $40,000, and I got the balance of this to invest, and now that's paying me every month because the car ain't paying you every month.
Stuff as simple as designers, $300 and $400 for Gucci, and these people that don't own it don't invest back. If you would just take that,
my hangout, my going out, period.
Oh yeah,
my $50 night to go out and have a cocktail or something. Boom.
Listen, people, coffee budget is $50 to $100 a month.
Yeah.
Coffee budget.
Yeah. Go buy wholesale, make it yourself.
Yep.
Put the money in.
But on that note, good people, because I have to break out. I want to thank you.
Thank you so much.
I don't have to do it.
All right, see, Joe. I'm gonna make this singular. Okay.
Thank you. That was an amazing discussion. I love some of the ideas. Okay, thank you, Jacqueline. That was an amazing discussion. I love the ideas that Joel had presented at the end. Some other ideas. I know that we, as the sandwich generation, we're taking care of both our children and our parents. And maybe our parents are on Medicaid. Maybe our parents need help, and we're taking care of them anyway. I am a caregiver, and I take care of my daughter. And so there are ways to get paid while you do that. I have a full-time gig, and that can take care of my bills. But the money that I make from my daughter's care goes straight to my retirement. So I don't even have to really think about it. These are some options. If getting a second job outside of the home is not possible, there are other ways to do it. So that's one way I chose to supplement my retirement. But, I'd love to hear more of your ideas. I'm not sure if Jacqueline is still on or not.
Hey, we're in the room. Yes, people here in the room.
How you
Hey,
doing?
come on, come
How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Yes, I'm Maurice Young. I am an author, entrepreneur. I just wrote a book called Turn the Trauma into Triumph, 8 Transformative Steps for Self-Healing. It's right here. You can reach me at on social media at Help for Hire and Help for Hire Inc. I'm doing some consulting work in the community right now, and I just want to say it was a pleasure just meeting everybody today, and thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, Maurice. Thank you.
So my name is Keith Blackwell. I am a life skills, social skills coach by way of athletics. This gentleman actually right here next to me, I coached his son at the Kroc Center, so it was great to come in here. But my company is called No Excuses Alterations. And the second piece that I'm trying to move into is exhaust all operations. And just basically with that is anything that we do, we have to find a solution, and there's many solutions to every situation that we go through. And that's what I'm trying to promote to anybody and everybody of how we can win. Period.
Thank you, Keith. How can people reach you?
You can reach me at No Excuses. No Excuses is spelled N-O, the letter X, C-U-S-E-S. No Excuses Alterations, the word alterations at gmail.com.
Okay. So no excuses, NOXCUSES alterations@gmail.com.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Maurice, how can people reach you?
I can be reached at help for hire, HELPFORHIGHER @gmail.com. That's my handle for social media as well, help for hire on Instagram. Before I leave, I just want to say a special shout out to Dr. Maurice Henderson for the National Black Authors Tour. I was greatly appreciative for allowing me to be a part of this and connecting with such wonderful individuals. Thank you today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm not sure how much time we have. Jacqueline,
Yeah.
can you give me an idea about the timeline and class?
Yes, leave. So just
Yeah. So just yeah, we're just closing out. I just wanted to introduce the audience. There was a few people in the room, and we're all here at October Gallery Museum, and that's octobergallery.com. And the museum is literally putting up picture walls throughout the community. And also, we did this week. This is the Million Fathers March is a national movement. And here we're the Philadelphia chapter. And one of their goals is literacy. Here on the side of the sleeve, yeah, real fathers read with their children. And what we did yesterday, we had a reading is resistance because they're banning our books and Black history in school districts and libraries across the country right now. So we're starting a literal movement on that, and we released a magazine. So all these things are orderable. This is Umoja magazine. It was just released yesterday. And we have articles. The National Black Authors Tour was helpful. They had Maurice here and Keith here, and best-selling author. They have articles within here, and some of our partnerships with the Black farmers, because we are learning too that it's better to work in collectives than all these silos. So, but you can support the House of Umoja because they supported this movement. As you see, they have their banner here. You can see the banner above, and that's houseofumoja.org. You have octobergallery.com, and these are just organizations that you can support. And we say that, support, know the art. It's a transformative experience. But I really want to make it plain that if we don't own our own art, if we allow the concept of starving artists to be real, when artists are the storytellers and keepers of our culture, then we lose our culture, we lose our legacies. That's why this was called Financing Legacies. So understanding finances, and part of your portfolio needs to be the art of the community. Because those are the stories. When we're gone, that's what's going to live on. When they dig up, one person says, when you're going to raise me from the grave. Like when you go up in the attic and find things, you raising people from the dead. You're telling those stories. That's a poet, Lamar Hill. And so that is this imperative message of the Black Book Art and Finance Fair, is for us to be literate in our own art and our own history and our own stories, to own them. We really want to make sure that we own our stories because of things like Tuskegee, or when they lied and told us about 40 acres and a mule. We cannot always be totally dependent upon the kindness of strangers.
That's so true.
And then there's financial value, art appreciation.
Beautiful. And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at it. You're doing it the best.
And so
information for you, Faith.
Mhm.
Information for you. How
They
can
want
we
to know
get
how to reach
contact
out
with
to
you?
you.
Yes.
Sure. Yes, you can reach me at my website. It's faithmckinney.com, or you could email me at faith@faithmckinney.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and X. But if you really want to reach me,
Which is the
my
best way to get to you? Yeah.
my email, faith@faithmckinney.com.
Got you.
Yeah,
Got you.
thank
Yeah, but the
you.
website allows you to know a little bit about
Oh,
her.
definitely.
So that's
Definitely.
faithmckinney.com. You get to learn a little bit about her. If you do need to book someone, a media personality, a host, that's
Okay.
Faith.
Okay. Boom. That's
Yeah,
dope.
this
She's
was
a
so
host.
informative. Jacqueline, there were so many things I really wanted to dig in today. There's so trust, to pass on our wealth legacy to our children and grandchildren, and 7 generations in the future. The way to study how
Yes.
white people do that, and there are proven systems, proven ways to do that. I met a woman who is she is in insurance with New York Life, which is one of the top insurance companies in the world. And our people don't necessarily deal with New York Life. I mean, it seemed to me that it was out of reach. But she had people create and design different ways to create a legacy for me. I had certain restrictions, and there are certain things that I couldn't do and I could do. They can work with you. But talking about trust, talking about using insurance, and talking about all of the ways to leverage the wealth that we do have now, the money that we have now, how can we do that to grow? And I think, as I mentioned, I don't know if you were able to hear,
Signal is dying, Faith. Faith, our signal is dying.
Oh, okay.
So we're going in and out. For
end.
some reason, the signal is super low.
Okay. Well, I'm going to end it here.
So, but yeah, we're going to be coming back. We're going to do a special in September. We're going to recap the weekend, and then okay, so we're going to get ready to go. Thank you. And so
thank you.
Everybody give
Peace.
Faith a clap.
Be in touch. Peace.
Bye-bye. Peace.
Peace and love. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.